At the wedding, fiancé Kelly wanted to elope with her white moonlight Robert. I knelt down and begged Kelly to complete the wedding process, but Robert, the white moonlight, failed his mission and was killed by the system. I thought everything was back on track. 3 years later, my fiancé Kelly staged a car accident that killed my parents and took away the company's assets. Kelly sat in front of my bed and said coldly, "It's all your fault for stopping me back then, otherwise Robert wouldn't have died." I shed tears of blood, opened my eyes again, and returned to the day of my wedding. This time, I chose to let go. But Kelly didn't know that if her so-called white moonlight strategy succeeded, she would die. The story is about to begin. If you like it, remember to like and follow. David, I'm sorry. The originally harmonious and happy wedding was disrupted by the bride's apology. Robert would die without me. I stared at Kelly, who was in tears. In my previous life, faced with the same situation, I threw away my dignity, knelt down and begged her to complete the wedding process. Now, I smiled faintly and did not stop him at all. "Do what you want to do." Kelly's eyes flashed with surprise, and the words that were about to come out of her mouth rose to her throat and she swallowed them down. I didn't play by the rules, and she was at a loss. She was about to say something when her phone suddenly vibrated. It was her white moonlight Robert who sent her another message. In the picture, Robert is standing on the edge of the bridge, tears streaming down his face, with determination written all over his face, as if he is about to jump off at the next moment. Without any hesitation, Kelly picked up the corners of her wedding dress and escaped from her marriage in public. Looking at the chaotic crowd below the stage, I calmed myself down and snatched the microphone from the MC. "I'm sorry to have made you all come here for nothing. My engagement with Kelly is officially cancelled." Everyone fell silent instantly. After a pause, I continued, "All gifts will be returned double later. Today, I will treat you all to a meal. I hope you enjoy it." As we stepped out of the venue, Kelly's father came over swayingly with a big belly. As soon as he opened his mouth, the loose fat on his face trembled. "David, you are such a fool. Why did you say such angry words as canceling the engagement?" I had a stern face, expressionless. A third-rate enterprise that was on the verge of bankruptcy several times was able to survive only with my funding. In the past, he was humble and considerate to me, but now he is so arrogant that he steps on my head and orders me to do things at will. Kelly's father was used to being arrogant. He didn't care about my dark face at all. He continued arrogantly, "How about this? If you give me another 20 million, I will make a phone call and ask my daughter to come back." I rolled my eyes. It's bad enough that he is ugly, but he also wants to be beautiful. Even if you sell him and the company together, he is not worth that much money. "Oh, if you sell it by weight, you can get an extra 1,000 yuan. I responded coldly, "This is your family's private matter and has nothing to do with me now." "David, what do you mean?" Kelly's father's face suddenly darkened. He pointed at my nose and cursed loudly, trying to attract the attention of people around him. "My daughter wasted her precious 7 years on you, and now you just want to walk away? How can my daughter live in the future? Isn't it just running away from a marriage? If you're a man, go get her back." Kelly's mother came over soon after, with a sneer on her lips and a sarcastic look in her eyes. The couple sang in unison, and their saliva almost splashed on my face. I turned my head away in disgust. Ever since Kelly and I announced our relationship, they'd been taking advantage of us. The house and car were bought in full, and the only thing missing was arranging a one-stop funeral service for them. I seriously doubt whether I was poisoned in my previous life, otherwise how could I tolerate them to this extent? "Go away." I lost my patience and interrupted coldly. Seeing that I was not listening, Kelly's father raised his fist and hit me. I laughed out of anger, stretched out my arms suddenly, and grabbed his neck with my hands like iron pliers, and pushed him hard, knocking him against the wall. "This is my last warning. If you want the company to survive a few more days, don't mess with me." Kelly's father turned pale with fear and nodded repeatedly. I felt something greasy on my palm, and I felt a chill in my heart, so I quickly let go of my hand. Kelly's father slid down the wall to the ground and collapsed into a heap. Kelly's mother was still swearing. I gave her a cold look and she immediately shrank into a ball, angrily preparing to help her husband up. As a result, because of their small stature, they both fell to the ground. Back at the apartment, Just like in my previous life, I opened the champagne and drank it. The difference is, in my last life I was getting drunk, but in this life I am celebrating being single again. I seldom post on WeChat moments, but this time, for the first time ever, I posted a photo of myself drinking heavily. As soon as I sent the message, someone liked it in my circle of friends. It was my childhood sweetheart, Jenny. He also added, "Did David finally wake up?" I grinned at myself, the tragic ending of my previous life still vividly in my mind. I typed back, "It's time to wake up from the dream." In the next sentence, she asked me to pay attention to online comments. Kelly is a rising star, and all major media outlets are keeping a close eye on her developments. The originally beautiful wedding instantly turned into a scene of escaping marriage and immediately became a hot topic. Hashtag Kelly ran away on the day of her wedding. Hashtag David announces the end of his engagement with Kelly. Hashtag Kelly escaped from marriage for her first love by Yue Guang. Hashtag. In just a few hours, the photo of Kelly and Robert hugging each other in death was uploaded to the internet, and public opinion gradually fermented. People kept jumping out and digging up all the grudges and entanglements between the three of us. Online comments are polarized. Rational passersby. Someone believed a suicide text? Is it that hard to call the police or an ambulance? If all else fails, I'll call an ambulance and send him off on the spot. Why run away on your wedding day when you could have done so? Isn't that pure arrogance? What a bullshit white moonlight, isn't it just to lick someone's boots when they become popular? Without David, Kelly is nothing. This sentence touched my heart, but it was quickly drowned out by Kelly's brainless fans. More people scolded me for being the third party, for forcing someone else's relationship into their relationship, and for stealing someone else's girlfriend. Yo, is there still so-called love among lickers? Can Bai Yue Guang's position be shaken by a bootlicker? Kelly is so domineering. What's the saying that a man from heaven can't beat a childhood sweetheart? Isn't this proof? The screen was filled with trolls who began to ignore the facts and sing praises of Kelly and Robert's pure love. My eyes are as dark as ink. Everything about Kelly is provided by me. She wanted to enter the entertainment industry, so I set up Kelly Films for her to serve her exclusively. In just half a year, she went from being an unknown figure to being active in the public eye, and in just a few years, she became a first-line star. I can raise her to the altar, or I can drag her to hell. I sent a message to my assistant. From today on, Kelly Films will suspend all operations, all projects will be terminated, and we will bear all liquidated damages. Let them give back all the money they used to support Kelly's parents. After sending the message, I turned off my phone immediately. I slept until the sun was shining on my butt, turned on my phone, and was overwhelmed by the vast amount of missed calls and messages. The top news headlines were all about Kelly and her boyfriend's youthful love. Hashtag Kelly saves by Yue Guang. Hashtag childhood sweetheart CP is so good. Hashtag by Yue Guang the eternal god. Hashtag. I smiled and said nothing. If it were in my previous life, I would have rushed over in rage to get the person. If nothing unexpected happens, Kelly will once again protect Robert and slap me, her legal fiancé, in the face. As for now, it's none of my business. I blocked all their related messages and then scrolled to my father's WeChat. The message was still stuck on: "If you dare to marry that woman, don't come back to this home." After my parents knew about the relationship between Kelly and Robert, they directly said that they would not attend the wedding, and facts proved that they did it. When I thought about how I had hurt them because of my self-conceit in my previous life, I couldn't help but slap myself twice. I must go back today and give them a surprise. While searching for gifts on the phone, Kelly's call came in at an inopportune time. Only then did I remember that I forgot to block her after drinking last night. After hanging up the phone, I decisively added the person to the blacklist. I simply packed my luggage and was about to leave when the door of the apartment was suddenly pushed open. Kelly came in on high heels, staring at me with big eyes, her face full of confusion and anger. "You want to break up the engagement with me?" "That's right." I smiled contemptuously and pulled the handle of the suitcase. Kelly frowned. Why? This is simply the funniest question I have ever heard. I looked Kelly straight in the eye and said coldly, "The bride ran away from the marriage in public, embraced another man sweetly, and did not return home at night. I sniffed and sneered, "Oh, you changed your shampoo?" Kelly's pupils trembled, and her originally firm gaze became a little wandering. In the previous life, she admitted with her own mouth that in her eyes I was nothing more than a dog, a lapdog, a beast that wagged its tail and begged for mercy. How can humans be with animals? She kept me around only so I could give her the resources she wanted. Now that the dog no longer licked her, she began to panic. Robert said he would die without me. Kelly's lips trembled slightly and her eyes were filled with tears, as if I was the one who was heartless and indifferent. I couldn't help but sigh. If such vivid and natural acting skills were used in the entertainment industry, she would have been a movie queen long ago. Kelly wanted to say something else, but I raised my hand to interrupt her. I didn't want to listen and I was too lazy to listen. In my previous life, I successfully saved her from becoming Robert's sacrifice, but her whole family suffered as a result. Tired. Let go of the desire to help others and respect their fate. I pulled up my suitcase and walked around her. Her choked voice rang in my ears again. "We have been together for 7 years. Are you really willing to give up?" Kelly held my wrist tightly, looked back, and tears fell to the ground like pearls that had broken off the string. Her crying was so touching. My heart was calm, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "You are worthy?" Kelly's body froze for a moment, and her face instantly turned red, the color of liver from anger. Before I could shake off her hand, the apartment door was forced open again. Robert was wearing a bright suit and had his hair combed back meticulously. He stood at the door with a bright look on his face. How does he look like someone who is about to commit suicide? As soon as Kelly saw Robert, she let go of my hand in panic. Robert's eyes flashed with light, but his face looked melancholy. "David, it's me who has caused trouble for you and Kelly. You can blame me if you want." Robert pretended to be weak and depressed, which made me want to roll my eyes. I couldn't help laughing when I thought about how ferocious he was when he fought with me before. Have men started pretending to be green tea lovers these days? I calmly replied, "You think too much. I will give up my position. I wish you a happy marriage and hope you will become a father. I'm busy going home to apologize now. How can I have time to deal with you?" Kelly grabbed my hand angrily and yelled, "David, what are you talking about? I didn't agree to break up with you." When Robert saw this scene, his eyes were instantly gloomy. Kelly's eyes were fixed on me the whole time, and she didn't notice any of this. I knew Robert must have misunderstood and thought Kelly had developed feelings for me. In fact, she was worried that without my resources, it would be difficult for her to survive in the entertainment industry. Ahem. "David, I don't mean to disturb you. I'll leave." Robert coughed violently several times and his body was shaking. How could Kelly not see the acting skills that would make even a dog shake his head? I finally understood it later. It was because I loved too deeply and was too self-righteous. Kelly rushed forward, eyes full of heartache, and supported Robert with both hands, letting him lean on her arms. "David, Robert has severe depression. How can you make him angry?" Kelly glared at me, her tone full of reproach. I looked at Robert with disdain, provoking me. Nowadays, everyone starts to blame themselves and claim that they are suffering from depression when things don't go their way. At least she acted well enough to be convincing, so who does she think she is? Not even an onion. Seeing them hugging each other, I thought I would be somewhat touched, but unexpectedly, I felt extremely calm inside, without any ripples. With Robert intervening, I left the apartment and Kelly no longer tried to stop me. As I stepped out of the room, the warm sun fell on my face, making me feel itchy. Very comfortable. After buying the gifts, I wanted to go home directly. On the way, I suddenly received a call from Jenny. She said 2 p.m., Beifeng Airport, and hung up. The same domineering tone as always. Haven't heard it in years, and I really miss it. Ever since Kelly and I confirmed our relationship, Jenny chose to go abroad without saying a word and did not contact me on her own initiative. Every time I go home, I hear my parents nagging about how Jenny has secured one big international order after another and is now able to take over the family business. As he said this, he glanced at me intentionally or unintentionally, and his eyes were full of disgust. If my dad hadn't been worried about the risks of my mom having a baby at an advanced age, I would probably have had a younger brother. Arrived at the airport at the checkpoint. In the huge crowd, Jenny was dragging a pink suitcase and wearing cool black sunglasses. Her tall figure stood out from the crowd. Jenny casually took off her sunglasses, raised her chin, and looked me up and down. Are you completely done with it this time? I naturally took her suitcase, smiled, and said clearly, I will never look back. TSK, I've been licking you for 7 years, no one would believe it. Jenny curled her lips and turned her head away with a faint smile on the corner of her mouth. Everything is implied. When I got home, I diligently cooked fried rice and poured a glass of mutai for my father. With my mom and Jenny cooperating, my dad reluctantly sat in his seat. How long will it take to go back this time? Suddenly, my father glanced at me. The dinner table suddenly became quiet, and 3 pairs of eyes were staring at me. I swallowed my food and spoke slowly. Kelly's affairs have nothing to do with me from now on. My father looked at me coldly without saying anything, and it was obvious that he didn't trust me. After all, there was a precedent. In the past, whenever Kelly choked up a few times, I would lose my mind and run over to comfort her. I won't explain too much, the facts speak louder than words. On my phone, my assistant sent me a message saying that everything had been handled, so I turned on the TV immediately. Kelly is under heavy fire from the media. All her resources have been withdrawn, and she has returned to the situation before liberation. I want to go back to work. I looked at the corners of my father's mouth gradually rising, and took the initiative to speak. My dad didn't reply immediately. He picked up his phone and walked to a corner to make a call. After a few minutes, he came back and said, report tomorrow. After dinner, just a few minutes after lying down, the phone on the table rang with a stranger's number. After answering the call, Kelly asked, David, why did you cut off all my resources? I was stunned for a moment. Is there a problem? She has even run away from her marriage, so I still have reason to give her resources. Is she wishful thinking, or does she really think I am being taken advantage of? I've already given her face by not asking her to compensate me for all my losses. I didn't agree. I'm still your fiancé. You can't do this to me. Kelly screamed at the top of her lungs, and after a few words she started playing the emotional card again. Before he finished speaking, Robert's voice interrupted from the side, Kelly, there's no need to beg him. I have the resources too. Then I heard Kelly's parents confirm it again and again, and soon the whole family became excited again. I am really disgusted by their outrageous actions. What is this? After scolding each other, they start showing affection again? I even began to suspect that they were putting on a show for me and that I was just a part of their play. Just as I was about to hang up, the phone whooshed away from my ear. Jenny snatched the phone away. You're still calling me after we broke up. Do you have any shame? You have the nerve to make such a fuss with your family's limited resources. The half-minute-long barrage of bombardment left the Kelly family defenseless. As soon as she finished speaking, without waiting for the person on the other end to react, Jenny quickly hung up the phone, blocked the number, and threw the phone to me. The whole set of movements is completed in one go. Jenny raised her breasts and looked at me proudly. See? This is how I feel better. I searched for adjectives in my mind, and finally I could only give a thumbs up. Jenny, you are awesome. At midnight, Kelly's new post became a hot search. Everything that can't defeat me will make me stronger. This statement gave Kelly's diehard fans a boost. There are all likes below. There are even comments from passers-by who have become fans. I love it, I love it. I like sisters with personality and the little sister is awesome. Women have to rely on themselves. If Kelly really has this ability, I will accept it, but I am supporting her every step of the way. Is she worthy? Jenny handed over a cup of hot tea. Do you want my help? I shook my head. I didn't care whether Kelly could rise or not, and there was no need to care. Why bother with something that can be solved with just one sentence? Now, I have more important things to arrange. The day after Kelly terminated her contract, she reappeared in the public eye. Although it was just a small advertisement without showing her face, in the eyes of Kelly's die-hard fans, it was the first step to her rise. See? Even without the help of the young master of the David family, my sister can still turn things around. Kelly has reached her current position through her own efforts. Those who are just watching her laugh, take a look. I don't have time to care about what happens to Kelly next. While she was climbing up the corporate ladder at a snail's pace, I had already mastered the company's procedures and was heading overseas to expand my business. In his previous life, David's family was hollowed out, all thanks to Robert's father's behind-the-scenes support. This time, of course, he must be dealt with first to cut off Robert's retreat. With Jenny's help, in just a few months, most of Robert's father's business was taken over by David's family and Jenny's family. The company is hanging on by a thread with the help of loan sharks. Of course, I also deliberately arranged the person who borrowed the money. I deliberately left Robert's father a chance and exaggerated the grudge between Robert and me. He immediately rushed to China and beat Robert up, forced Robert to break up with Kelly, and ordered Robert to kowtow to me and apologize. Because of this incident, Kelly and Robert had a big quarrel, raising the shocking question of whether to choose her father or her. In the end, Robert was removed from the household registration by his father. His father's company declared bankruptcy and was heavily in debt. I sent people to keep an eye on Robert's father and inform the creditors of his whereabouts at any time to prevent him from committing suicide. Sometimes, living is more painful than death. Their hatred can never be repaid in their lifetime. Without his father's support, Robert was completely cut off from all his resources. The business world is like a battlefield. Once you lose your usefulness, you will be ruthlessly kicked out. Kelly's career suffered a fatal blow as a result, and investors withdrew their capital one after another. Coupled with her mediocre business ability and the fact that her resources were cut off, Kelly completely became an artist outside the 18th tier. The two had a big fight over this. However, less than 3 days after the incident, Kelly found an opportunity to block me. At this moment, her face was pale and haggard, and even with thick foundation on, she couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. The clothes she wore were specially chosen, the gorgeous dress I customized for her on our 7th anniversary. At that time, she didn't even want to look at it. Now, she is so thin that the gorgeous clothes make her look bulky and funny. David, I just made a mistake that every woman in the world would make. Can't you forgive me just once? Kelly's tears fell as she reached out to grab my wrist. I dodged sideways, not giving Kelly any chance. Kelly didn't give up and wanted to take further action. Jenny, who was standing next to me, couldn't bear it anymore and slapped Kelly so hard that she was stunned. The conspicuous slap mark was red and a little blinding. "Ah, you dare to hit me, you bitch, I will kill you." Kelly rushed towards Jenny with disheveled hair, but I stopped her. "Have you had enough? If you do it again, don't blame me for calling the police." When the word "call the police" was mentioned, Kelly regained some of her sanity, but she was still unwilling to give up. She stared at Jenny and said, "Don't interfere in the matter between David and me." Jenny laughed out loud. "Why, you are still trying to deceive people by claiming to be David's fiancée. Does anyone believe you?" Kelly's face turned green with anger. "The harder you talked in the beginning, the harder you'll be slapped in the face now." Half a year ago, she was a top star, but half a year later, even dogs disliked her. "David, you said you only love me." Kelly screamed hysterically, crying and saying that she regretted coming. My expression darkened and I laughed at myself. Wasn't it she herself who made this statement a laughingstock? The system couldn't control her thoughts, and it was all her own fault that she had ended up like this. Too lazy to waste any more time, I called Robert directly and said, "Can you do this? Your woman has come to me on her knees and begged me." Robert hung up the phone angrily. When he rushed over, he saw Kelly kneeling on the ground and was furious. He tried to help Kelly up, but Kelly pushed him away and he fell to the ground. Especially when he heard Kelly scolding him for coming back unnecessarily, his face was so gloomy that water could drip out of it. I sneered, "I don't want to get involved in your affairs. But if you don't work harder, I'm afraid it will be in vain." Robert looked at me in shock. He naturally understood what I meant. After all, he doesn't have much time left. A week after the farce, Robert found a new investor. Kelly got a little angry, but quickly put it out. The next time we heard about Kelly was when she was involved in a sex scandal with a director in the entertainment industry. The incident started when Robert caught Kelly exchanging and learning with a director in a hotel. As a result, the director turned around and accused them of honey trap. In the face of capital, crushing Kelly is as easy as crushing an ant. Once this incident fermented, Kelly had no chance to stay in the entertainment industry. Not only that, Kelly also had to bear several breach of contract liabilities. In the end, her parents were forced to sell their car and house and borrow several high-interest loans to resolve the breach of contract. Coupled with the strained relationship between me and their family, the companies that had originally cooperated with them proposed to terminate their contracts. Her parents' company went bankrupt. Now, the family of 3 lives in the basement, doing nothing, and relies entirely on Robert for support. Despite this, Robert became their scapegoat. After all, in their opinion, it was Robert who caused them to lose the happiness that should have belonged to them. A few days later, Robert approached me and asked, "Do you know something?" Robert took off his thick sunglasses and mask, and his originally delicate face was now bruised and swollen. His hands were clenched into fists, but then dropped weakly. I put down the coffee in my hand with a faint smile. I was not surprised that Robert chose to see me. In fact, he took longer to see me than I expected. I remained calm and said, "I have a pair of X-ray eyes, and I can see extraordinary things in this world. For example, if you have advanced liver cancer, you need to complete a mission to save yourself." Robert's eyes widened, and after a long silence, his whole body gradually became listless, as if he had aged by dozens of years. "You are telling me all this, it's not as simple as just wanting to kill me." I smiled and didn't say anything, but the expression on my face said it all. Being stabbed in the back by someone you once loved is a pain that is engraved into your bones and you will never forget it. Robert's eyes were solemn, and he had almost no hesitation. "I can help you. If it weren't for this shitty mission, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with them. They're all a bunch of vampires, garbage." Once he opened his mouth, Robert's hatred towards Kelly's family was like a flood that could never be stopped. After pouring out his grievances for half an hour, Robert's expression barely improved a bit. "I'll help you take care of the aftermath, and you tell your men to stop targeting me." After saying that, Robert picked up his bag and prepared to leave. I curled my lips and smiled. "Leave it here." Robert turned around and paused, then sighed. "This time I really believe what you said about being able to see through everything." I nodded on the surface but laughed wildly in my heart. This idiot, doesn't he know there are surveillance cameras? From the moment Robert entered the coffee shop, his every move was under surveillance. I knew he had a camera hidden in his bag. After saying goodbye to Robert, I turned around and told Kelly everything, and also attached a copy of Robert's medical records. After watching the video, Kelly was so angry that her body couldn't stop shaking and her teeth were chattering. When she thought about how she had been cheated of everything by a scumbag, she wanted to tear Robert into pieces. When she looked at me, her eyes suddenly became gentle as water. "David, I know you love me, otherwise you wouldn't tell me all this. After all, we've been together for 7 years." After hearing the last sentence, my heart trembled a little. It's not that I'm touched, but that I feel disgusted and want to vomit. After 7 years, a dog should have feelings and know how to wag its tail and beg for mercy. But Kelly is an ungrateful person who takes my efforts for granted. I stood up and gently wiped the tears from her eyes, sneering, "How many 7 years can a person have? You must be important in my heart, but how can I be sure that you have really let it go?" Kelly held my hand and said excitedly, "David, I know I was wrong. I will never let you down." I smiled lightly and said, "I will send someone to give you a big gift. Next Monday is your birthday. You know what to do next." Kelly nodded thoughtfully. "After this is done, will you marry me?" I nodded in agreement. After Kelly left, he took out a tissue and repeatedly wiped the fingers that had just touched her. I sneered in my heart, "If you could come to see me." Kelly got the marriage certificate. Jenny sat opposite me and showed me her circle of friends on her phone. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Why do you still have her contact information? Are you really willing to give up on her?" Jenny looked me up and down, trying to find some clues on my face. I raised the corners of my lips and looked at her quietly. After she blushed and shyly avoided me, I said calmly, "I'm not interested in other people's wives." After hearing this, Jenny kept smiling. With a few swipes of her fingers, she deleted Kelly in front of her. I pursed my lips into a line, took a deep breath, pulled out a beautifully packaged box from underneath, and slowly held it out to Jenny. In the box was a necklace inlaid with 7 colored gemstones, worth up to 50 million. This is the necklace Jenny saw in a magazine when she was a child. At that time, her eyes were shining with excitement. She looked at me and said in a sweet voice, "When I grow up, I will marry whoever gives me this necklace." However, I now have an indescribable inferiority complex in my heart. Maybe she should find someone better instead of a man like me who regrets his actions. I stared at her blankly, my heart beating violently. "Do you have someone you like now?" Jenny blinked her charming peach blossom eyes, suddenly stood up, held my face with both hands, and her warm breath blew on my face, making my heart flutter. I was about to say something when I felt a sudden stinging pain on my lips. Then, the lips were blocked by a soft yet powerful force. A slight smell of blood spread in my mouth. The slight pain and stimulation made my heart beat faster, and I couldn't help but indulge in it. "If you dare to abandon me again, I will bite you to death." Jenny loosened her lips, revealing her little fangs, and warned fiercely. "Help me put it on." I was stunned for a long time before I responded, Okay. Kelly's wedding was held as scheduled on Monday. What's dramatic is that Kelly slapped Robert in public and then ran away from his marriage again. The next time people saw Kelly was in her live studio. Kelly exposed Robert's crimes in front of everyone, showing Robert's consumption records and hotel check-in records in recent months, as well as intimate photos of him with senior executives from different industries. This includes men. The live broadcast of just over 10 minutes attracted more than several million people to watch online. However, an accident occurred during the live broadcast. Kelly covered her chest and collapsed due to a heart attack. Although the live broadcast room was quickly closed, this incident still caused an uproar in society. Robert and I were the first to receive police summons. Due to insufficient evidence, I returned home after a brief interrogation. Robert was not so relaxed. After all, before the incident, his affair with Kelly was known to everyone, and he also needed to be investigated for those improper romantic transactions. I lied to Kelly. Robert's mission was not to marry her, but to become a legal couple. From the moment she and Robert received their marriage certificate, her life began to count down. As for Kelly's parents, they also disappeared at the same time. The police immediately launched an investigation and eventually pointed the finger at Robert again. A few days later, Kelly's parents ran to the police station in embarrassment and accused Robert. Originally, Robert arranged for someone to secretly deal with Kelly's parents, but after Robert entered the police station, he lost contact. The group was worried that they would not receive the balance, so they directly released Kelly's parents. After some testimony, the police rewarded Robert with a pair of silver bracelets on the spot. The bigwigs in the entertainment industry who suffered because of him hated him to the core and caused trouble behind his back. After a few twists and turns, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. Of course, I designed all of this. The gang that Robert found was actually arranged by someone I sent behind the scenes. The words that Kelly's parents heard were also revealed to them by me. It was a year later that I met Robert again. "David, you arranged all this behind the scenes, right?" Robert banged on the glass window violently and roared like a wild beast. I heard that he received a lot of special care during the year he was in prison. His once fit body became skinny and bone-like. I touched the ring on my left hand and didn't answer the question directly. Instead, I told him another surprise. "Kelly's father injured someone while escaping from debt and was also imprisoned in your prison. You two can get along well." Robert's eyes lit up when he heard this. I sneered and then said, "By the way, your father's whereabouts are unknown now. He may be lying peacefully somewhere. As for you, just live there peacefully for the rest of your life." Now, I smiled faintly and did not stop him at all. "Do what you want to do." Jin Young originally, my hatred for Robert stopped at being a cuckold. But, in order to survive, his father told me that when Robert chose to attack Kelly, he also planned to deal with David's family. No wonder Kelly in her previous life was able to find cooperation with Robert's father so quickly. After returning home, the two parents sat together playing mahjong and imagined their lives of taking care of their grandchildren after retirement. Jenny was lying lazily on the sofa, her belly slightly bulging, holding a bag of plums in her hand. When she saw me, she opened her arms and asked me to hug her. "Is it done?" "Everything has been taken care of." I smiled and nodded, then gently held her in my arms, placing my palm lightly on her lower abdomen, feeling the pulse of life coming from there. The sunshine shines into the house, and the whole family is happy and harmonious. Very nice.